Good evening, everybody. We're going to start the meeting tonight, Monday, February 3rd at 6:34 p.m. Let's go to here. We had a closed session previously, but there's nothing to report out. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. There were direction was given, but no action was taken.
Very good. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules of decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the city council meeting. Also, public comment through Zoom will only be accepted for the agenda items listed within the consent calendar, public hearing and other matters section of the agenda. General public comments will be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance at the appropriate time. Tonight, we are very pleased to have Life Scout Everardo Padilla to conduct the Pledge of Allegiance for us tonight. Mr. Padilla, please come forward.
Veterans and all those in uniform, render salute. All others, place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you could stay standing. Fine.
Everardo, is it? Nice to meet you. How you doing? It's your first time here in front of us? Got the jitters out. We'll hopefully get you back next time. Good for you. Tell us a little something about you, Everardo.
I'm the senior patrol leader at Troop 411 based in Verne. We're right down the road. I'm really pleased to be here tonight, and I hope the rest of the meeting goes well.
You've been telling us. Tell us a little bit about what a Life Scout is.
Okay. A Life Scout is the second highest rank in Boy Scouts. It's right before Eagle. It is, what's it called? The second hardest rank to achieve. And it requires, I think, 2.5 years in Scouts to achieve. And it's been a lot of fun getting to it.
Scouts.
I've been in Scouts for, I believe, 7 years now. Yes, I am. That's coming up hopefully in about a month or two. Go to school at Walnut High. I live in Pomona, 2 miles away. I'm a Walnut High.
Yes.
That's great.
He's got nice hair, man.
Thank you. Yes, we're going to be putting in Stations of the Cross right at St. Paul's, Pomona, my church, around Labyrinth. So, it'll be a lot of fun.
What are you doing after high school?
Well, hopefully, to JC, then moving into a UC. I have ideas, probably enjoy poli-sci, enjoy biology. I don't know. That's great.
Pablo.
Everardo.
Everardo.
Next month, Mr. Lopez, right? Thank you. Mr. Domer, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Crosby is excused absence. Councilmember Kashifagita.
Here, sir.
Councilmember Lau. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Present.
and Mayor Hepburn.
Present.
Quorum, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Tonight we have one presentation. Our first presentation is from our own Laverne Fire Department, introducing its first fire and arson investigation program. First of all, I want to give a round of applause for the firefighters who are here and for all of you that were on these assignments. I understand we're going to another assignment, which is the search and rescue because of the possible floods up in the Altadena area. Is that correct? Is that correct?
They'll be a part of a pre-staged rescue task force, RTF, or I'm sorry, regional task force, which is a specialized technical rescue team that's pre-deployed in case there is any type of extreme mud and debris flow from the rains.
Well, I just want to say thank you to all of you that were on these fire deployments. These were just some of the most, I don't know, hellacious, I'm just going to call them hellacious fires that we've probably seen in a long time. And we've had communities that were just decimated over this. And there's going to be a lot of questions to be answered from a lot of people in these situations and why it happened like this. But I just, beside myself and council and our city and our residents, you guys just did an amazing job. And you came back safely. And I know it was tough. You left your families. I mean, some people were on multiple. So for 4 months, we've had crews out there. And I just want to say on behalf of myself, also all of us, that we're very proud of all of you. And we really appreciate that. Unfortunately, it's not over and we continue. So please, all of you be safe out there. Chief Nig, you have the mic, sir.
Wonderful, thank you. And that's a fairly good segue into what we're going to talk about here. And I do appreciate that, by the way. It is our personnel that are out there on the floor responding to these incidents up and down the state. But it's not just them, it's also the ones that are coming in and backfilling, and by and large for the last couple of weeks, but several months. I mean, this whole fire season has been atrocious, and it's been a lot for every fire department in the state. But with that, when we do have these large fires and catastrophes related to wildfires, et cetera, somebody's got to figure out how they start them, right? And that's what I'm here to talk about tonight. Ultimately, Fire Marshal / fire investigator Fred St. Ange will come up and get into a little bit further. But ultimately, for me as the fire chief, I consider this another huge victory for our community. We are required by California Health and Safety Code and the Fire Code to determine the cause of all of these fires for a number of reasons, to identify criminal behavior, to detect patterns, and to accordingly educate and ensure that we can reduce the instances of those fires, starting for whatever those reasons may be. In addition to a nationwide data collection center, our INFIRST program, that keeps track of how these fires are starting and in an attempt to address it at that level. So with that, the city of Laverne, the Laverne Fire Department, historically, at least not to my knowledge, had its own fire investigation program. And I'm going to use fire and arson investigation synonymously because as we approach the cause and origin of these fires, we obviously will do our best to rule out if there was any nefarious behavior or criminal activity, and then ultimately that's when we get to how the fire started if it was accidental. Our law enforcement partners have been very, very supportive of our effort, and there is absolutely no way that we can do this without our law enforcement partners. So we definitely thank Laverne Police Department, Chief Gonzalez, for all your support. This program has been about at least a year coming, if not longer, because there are some very, very strict standards that we have to go by, not to mention Fred's ongoing training and his qualification and everything else. And through me as the fire chief now has authority to carry a weapon and arrest and go through the process of prosecuting criminals with our law enforcement partners. So with that, I'm going to invite up Fire Marshal Fred St. Ange to go ahead and get into the details a little bit more of our brand new fire investigation program, which not only going to benefit us, but this entire Foothill and Verdugo region.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, attorneys. Thank you so much for allowing me to come up here and share my program with you. I do also thank PD. They've been a huge role in helping me get through this process. The fire department, the fire chief. Without them and them support today, I wouldn't be here right now. So I'll start with that. My slide. First of all, next slide is the purpose of this program. Okay. The purpose of this program is to ensure that all the fires in the city of Laverne are that there's a cause and origin for every single fire. We investigate basically off of state and federal laws. Some of these programs or some of these things that this will enhance will be enhanced in public safety. Why does it enhance public safety? Is that if I have a fire that has lithium ion batteries involved and I have another fire with the same thing, well, we could push out social media. We could help educate the public on why are these things bad or what we could do to fix that problem. Reducing the risk for fires, that's kind of self-explanatory, and criminal investigations. Criminal investigations, I work with PD and we go from the stages of the fire once identified as arson to final completion of the fire, and we work with them to follow up to put that person away. What gives me the authority? The authority comes from the California Fire Code, the Health and Safety Code, the PC 830 37A is what gives me that authority, and as the chief mentioned, this grants me the ultimate authority to come and do the investigation of those fires that I was talking about. So that will give me the ability to do my job and finish it at the completion of it. My role as the investigator is part detective, scientist, law enforcement. Everyone that I've met, including some of the council members, have asked me, how do you go into a building and figure out what causes fire? So I'm going to kind of walk you through a little quick snapshot. So ideally, we had a fire over the weekend, and it's taken me 7 hours to do the investigation, start with on Saturday. Give you an idea, that's me in the picture there. I have to use what's called the scientific method. And this on the side here, it tells me I have to figure out the problem. I got to define the problem. I got to collect the data. I got to do the interviews. I got to develop my hypothesis. I got to test it to come to the ultimate conclusion of what started this fire, whether it's criminal, whether it's accidental, naturally caused. It just all depends, right? So that is my job to go in there and do this process. And this process is lengthy. I mean, I'm 7 hours into this fire this weekend, and I've already worked 2 hours today on it, and I still have to write a report that takes 4 to 6 hours behind it. So on that next slide is what it takes to do the process. I arrive on scene, and I have the exterior of the house. I have to do a full 360. I got to document it all the way across the board. I got to look for signs, things that could be in the bushes, things on the walls, the burn patterns on the windows, what that looks like. And then I'm going to move into what's called the interior portion of that fire. And as you can see here, I'll start from the unburned to the burned. And then I'll walk into all these different rooms and I document that anywhere from smoke patterns to burn patterns, just to get the patterns of where that fire originated from. And then finally, what will end up happening is that I'll get into a space where my next slide is like the final stage. And as you can see on the left here, there's a picture of a backyard, and it had like a trellis, it had a patio cover. It was all, it was mangled, beat up, you name it, right? On the right-hand side of it, you see it all dug out. That took over 6 hours just to dug out that particular fire. So I have to recreate the scene. So you see the mess on the left side, and on the right side, I have to put it back together to figure out what caused the fire. So that's my job to go in there and do that. And then the car that's on the bottom was arson. It was in my city. We found on the road at 4 o'clock in the morning at an old city I used to work for. And it was torched from the back side of the car. So it wasn't an engine compartment fire, it was torched. So we look for burn patterns that will indicate that, and that will help me figure out whether this fire and how this fire started. So just in the process of all this, I mean, I've showed you guys the pictures of the one on the inside, the outside, and then this part doesn't show you that I have to do all the witness statements that correspond with this and different things in that sense. Sometimes I have video footage, sometimes I don't. So it's across the board. You have to figure out at the end of the day what's going to be where that fire started. So, and then that's the analogy for the conclusion of the fire. All the fires have to be investigated and articulated, the circumstance, the conditions of the agencies. You have to have that in place. Otherwise, I don't have a fire. So any questions so far? All know who that is? Everybody seen this movie before? Maybe? I outdated myself here too. So backdraft. And then I also like to thank a special person in the audience today, His name is Chris Bennett. He basically been the arson investigator for the past 2 years for Laverne, kind of covering our city. The last 6 months, I've been shadowing him, working closely to build my program.
So prior to me coming on board here, I can't speak to what the process was, but very quickly, Investigator Bennett was kind enough to come over and do a basic fire investigation or cause and origin training with all of our captains. So if it's not a complex fire, something doesn't involve injury or fatality or anything of that sort, typically our company captains will do their best to determine cause and origin, unless, like I said, it's something that is more serious, and that's when we engage our investigator. At the end of the day, whatever is determined from these fires gets put into reports, right? And whether that leads to criminal prosecution or some type of civil case, like the fire that we had over the weekend, there was injuries involved, and the complexities that are going to come out from the years to come are pretty intense, right? So this just further professionalizes our department, and it's another value that we brought to this community, and we're very, very proud of that. So prior to that, when we did have complex cases, we were engaging West Covina Fire. So I do want to articulate my appreciation for West Covina Fire and Investigator Bennett. We were using him heavily, and fortunately, they did not send us the bill for that. But we were getting close to that point. So we're very, very lucky that we have our own investigator now. So with that, if you guys wouldn't mind, would like to capture one large photo with our department and the first time the public has seen our brand new program.
Please bring them up. No.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
With guns now, huh?
I like it. Thank you, guys, very much. Take care, Kevin. Thank you very much. Thank you. Remember what I said, any issues, let me know. We know them all over there. Chief Niggin mentioned that our police department, when these fires were going on, it took everyone, all hands on deck. It wasn't just our fire department, but it was also our public works. It was also our police. It was also all of our community services. We had to close parks down. It was also our finance department. They had to keep track of all this with all of our resources going. And Christie's group has to make sure that all these people fill out the proper paperwork. There's a lot of work to be done when we send these crews out. When they come back, they fill out a tremendous amount of paperwork because we get recouped for that. And so it's going to be a lot of paperwork for Christie's department, but again, all hands on deck, and everybody did an amazing job. We addressed our fire stations being upstaffed. We addressed our water storage facilities being prepared. We addressed our Live Oak Reservoir with MWD and Three Valleys to put water in our reservoir just in case there was a problem in North Laverne and all of Laverne, but North Laverne especially because of the fact it's a high fire zone. So we're not out of the woods. This is going to continue, and we need to prepare. So anyway, with that, I thank you again. For our next presentation, unfortunately, Mr. Austin Placide, I did it right, huh? Yeah. Is the new executive director of Tri-City Mental Health Authority, was unable to be with us tonight, but we will introduce him at one of our next meetings. I was on a plane from Sacramento and Remy was on the plane. Yeah, he's got quite a big job. So we'll move on to announcements of upcoming community events. Before we dive into upcoming events, I want to take a moment to recognize that February is nationally observed as African American and Black History Month, a time to honor the invaluable contributions of African Americans to our nation. The theme for 2025, African Americans in Labor, highlights the transformative impact of Black workers throughout history. In celebration, the Laverne Library is hosting a variety of programs for all ages throughout the month and will formally commemorate Black History Month with a proclamation at the next City Council meeting. I'd like to, speaking of that, we will call up Adrian Romero, our Laverne librarian. He's on fire tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I'd like to introduce a few events. And like you said, for the month of February, we're holding an event celebrating African American and Black History Month. For adults, we'll be holding an event on Saturday, February 15th at 12 to learn about the history and impact of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which sheds light on the way labor unions and politicians work together and how workers are treated and viewed. After the presentation, participants can create a coaster celebrating activism in the early part of the 20th century. And for children ages 6 to 12, we have a program on Wednesday, February 19th at 5, celebrating the invention of automatic elevator doors by Alexander Miles. During this program, children will learn about Alexander Miles and his contribution to safety, and then kids will be given a chance to make their own pulley system. And for ages 13 to 17, we have a program on Thursday, February 20th at 4 o'clock, where teens can learn about the impact that other teens made during the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. After the presentation, teens can also make a coaster celebrating a cause they feel strongly about. And as part of our Smart Start program, we'll be holding a program for toddlers ages 1 to 5 on Saturday, February 22nd at 11. During this program, a performer by the name of Iwalani, I hope I pronounced that right, will teach about snare drums, bucket drumming, and indigenous drumming techniques. And so that's how we'll be celebrating African American and Black History Month. All right, thank you.
We also have, it's the 40th anniversary of Laverne Library coming up. Is that correct, Mr. Gomer, or was that good information, or we had sent that to Catherine Barger's office? I think it was 40th. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look
Well,
at
you-
that as well.
A resident had called me up, and the original people, I can't remember the name of the people that actually pushed the library, and brought it in, and they built the library here, but I think it's the 40th anniversary. So we'll let you know as soon as we hear.
That a new library? Because
That would be,
initially it was on Bonita.
that would probably be this one. At this one,
Okay.
yeah. So
Oh,
we'll let you know. Catherine Barger's working on it. We were talking about some kind of a presentation or something.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be finding out what's going on, but we'll get in touch with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Kalusik, Laverne Historical Society. Yeah, that's sweatshirt. That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll talk about that too then.
Everything she has is for sale.
You better believe it. But remember, anything, well, it's all donations because we are all volunteer, our Laverne Historical Society, we're all volunteers, and all proceeds go into our refurbishment projects and things that we're doing. Next project we're working on is getting a bed on that truck, so it's ready. We can have people in it for 4th of July. The goal is to get it done before 4th of July. So anything we do, the jams and jellies that Sherry makes.
I have to try the plum jelly. I just bought some, so
it's-
that's tomorrow morning.
It's fantastic. You will love it.
I love plum. So,
And
yeah.
well, I'll start with, so the jackets, I made these, they are made to order. So I have to order the jackets, and then we get the logos on them.
Oh, there you go.
So if anybody's interested, come see me. It's $35 altogether. And if we can do like a deposit of 15 is good, so I can get the jacket ordered and then I get it over to the printer. And I went with black, but we can probably order almost any color you want to
I
do.
like that. That's a good color.
So-
Shows the emblem's nice.
Exactly. I agree. Anyways, we have an event coming up Saturday, starting at 3. We're going to be screening Wayne's World 2. You may ask, why are we screening Wayne's World 2? Because many of the pivotal scenes were filmed here in Laverne. And there's a really fun nod to The Graduate from before, because at the Methodist Church. So come join us. It's silly. You don't have to think. You don't have to have seen Wayne's World 1 because it's not that complex. But come
Oh, yes,
join
it
us.
is. Depending
is,
if you have alcohol on board.
Well, we won't have that. Bring your flask, nice big pockets here. No, just kidding. But anyway, so it will be at the U of E Arts and Communication Building, which is on the corner of D and Arrow, kind of around that area. And there's street parking, or you can park in the parking structure for $4. The film is rated PG-13, so act accordingly, but it is free, open to the public. We may have some jams and jelly there that, you can
Might be for purchase.
obtain for, donation.
What about those memberships?
And that was the next thing. So it is membership. Thank you. It is membership drive time because it is 2025. So renew your membership. Join. Sherry does magnificent newsletters. They're just wonderful.
Just get a
the
lifetime
newsletters.
membership. It's just so much
It
easier.
is. So the lifetime is 200. But if that's too much and you'd rather do bite size, they're only 20, and 25 for a family, 20 for individual, and 10 for students. So I think that's it. Thank you very
Beautiful.
much.
Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. Anyone else have any announcements? Yvonne? Tomorrow night.
Hello, good evening. Yeah, Kathy's sweatshirt is pretty cool. I got to get me one too. I just wanted to announce that we will be having a cultural awareness and social inclusion meeting tomorrow, 5 p.m. at the Citrus Room at Hillcrest. I invite anyone and everyone to come. We're all welcoming. I also feel like this is a good time to remember and keep in the forefront of our minds that we are a diverse and inclusive community, and that we should be all welcoming, and really, amplify that by becoming a part of Cassie and making sure that we keep everybody responsible and kind. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn. Appreciate it. Anyone else on announcements? I'm just going to do a real quick one. Every month we put out a city manager's newsletter, and it's in our, it's actually on the website. And basically, it just goes over city manager's messages. We have upcoming events. It's also our council with our last meeting, what we did, what the decisions we made. Also, city numbers as far as the numbers of our city departments and what we do. Also, Laverne resources. One of the big one though is also for emergency preparedness, and just an announcement. We did a lot of social media over this. I know that Chief Nig is, the Ready Set Go program. We are in a high fire zone, so and with emergencies and all these things going on, that you should be ready. I mean, we were hooking up generators in our neighbors that they were in boxes. You want to have those generators ready to go. You want to have them gassed up with oil in them and make sure they're running. You want to test them once or twice a month outside in a well-ventilated area. Make sure your extension cords are thick and big and not cut. And make sure that you have water resources, food, make sure you have flashlights, things like that. This is going to happen again. Our power outages are going to happen again. especially with Edison on this last one, whether they're at fault or not, they're going to shut us off. And in North Laverne, we have two. One's the Bryden Circuit. What's the other circuit through Avenida? Yeah. And so Avenida's first, which is yeah, Fox Glen. That Fox Glen and San Dimas. That's the first one to go off. Second one is Bryden, which is us in North Laverne, basically south and north on Golden Hills, basically all the way around to the tip of the downward slide of Esperanza. Just seems just a
Outlanders.
us flatlanders. That's why last time I parked the RV in front of your house, we'll just stay the night. But I mean, seriously, this is really something that this is not going to go away, and it's something that we need to be prepared for. So, but anyway, this monthly newsletter, very important. You can find it. It's got tons of information on it, but it's on our website. So feel free. And there's always, I think, copies here at the city. Is that correct, Mr. Domer? Is this always copies here if you stop by? But it's online for sure. So, council, any announcements? Say to the. Okay. With that, we will move on to consent calendar, and I'll tie all items on the consent calendar routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council or member of the audience requests separate discussion. Council, are there any requests to pull an item from the consent calendar? We know. I'm City Manager Domer. Any requests?
There were none, sir.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Vote, please.
The consent calendar was approved 4-0, moved by Cashel Fagita, seconded by Lau, with Crosby as absent.
Good, thank you. We will now move on to public hearings. Tonight, there's only one public hearing. It is the determination of the CEQA exemption and adoption of the zoning ordinance amendments to implement housing element policies, general plan updates, and other changes. City Manager Domer, please call forward the staff member who are reporting on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to call forward our best principal planner, Candace Bocock.
You got it right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight, we're bringing forward an ordinance that will formally adopt the amendments to the Old Town Laverne Specific Plan and Title 18 of our municipal code. Changes that were initially implemented through the urgency ordinance that was adopted a few months ago. These updates are critical to ensuring our continued compliance with various state housing laws, supporting our housing element programs, and encouraging responsible development in the Old Town Laverne Specific Plan area. To provide a more in-depth overview of these proposed changes and their impacts, I'd like to introduce Ashley Brodkin with De Novo Planning Group. Ashley and her team have been very instrumental in preparing these updates, and she will walk you through all of the components of this ordinance.
Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council members and Mayor. Thank you for having me this evening. So as you all know, and Candace mentioned, the City of Laverne adopted their housing element in November 2022. The general plan update in EIR actually was adopted by City Council this month, in January of 2024. State law does require that cities adopt a zoning ordinance that is consistent with its general plan. And this is the first of several ordinances that will be brought before you to implement key housing programs and general plan actions. So the housing element was certified by HCD in 2022. The implementation of these housing programs are required to maintain the certified housing element. The housing element included a total of 29 programs to implement the city's housing goals and policies. 24 of those 29 programs were carried over from the fifth cycle, with 5 new programs that address new state requirements. The housing element implementation included adding new definitions to the zoning code, including both employee as well as employee housing in an agricultural zone, family, low barrier navigation center, and unlicensed group homes. It also adds an exemption from precise plan review for multifamily and mixed-use residential development, which must still be consistent with the objective design standards. In the ag zone, it adds employee housing in an agricultural zone as a permitted use and establishes an approval procedure for agriculture employee housing. The reason we separated out employee housing in an ag zone and employee housing is that they have different requirements and permitting procedures. So they are two separate definitions and two separate uses in the zoning code. The zoning code update also changes guest houses, second units, and housing for agricultural units to no longer need a CUP. And it amends development standards in multifamily and clustered residential development for building height and lot coverage. Additionally, it adds low barrier navigation centers and supportive housings to permitted uses in the CPD zone and within certain specific plan areas. It provides provisions for supportive housing as well as low barrier navigation centers and amends parking requirements, specifically for emergency shelters. They adds several new chapters to the zoning ordinance. The first one is a housing element sites overlay zone. This was previously adopted as an urgency ordinance by City Council. It also includes a new chapter for the density bonus. It actually repealed the previous chapter and incorporates and readopts it to update it to state law. It created a new chapter for special housing applications, specifically for preliminary applications and ministerial streamline approval processes, and then adopts an objective design standards that are used for multifamily and residential mixed-use projects only. For general plan implementation, it amended the precise plan findings specifically to consider pedestrian and bike access and amenities, and amends the chapter 18.74 related to transportation demand management and trip reduction measures. For the Old Town Laverne specific plan, City Council adopted an urgency ordinance last year amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan. It provided for a minimum density of 38 dwelling units per an acre in mixed use 1 and mixed use 2 areas. It ensured that there are sufficient sites to meet city's RENA, and the zoning ordinance amendments just readopts this provision that was included in the urgency ordinance. The city had prepared EIR for the general plan and zoning ordinance update that includes the proposed changes in this ordinance and is covered. Planning Commission recommended certification, and the City Council last month certified the EIR. This is also exempt under CEQA as a common sense exemption. This is all procedures and policy and will not change anything in the environment and affect the physical environment. Planning Commission reviewed this item and held a public hearing on January 8th last month and recommended approval to City Council. I will let Candace close this up.
The recommendation is that the City Council first find the adoption of the proposed ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, Section 15061, Section B3, and 2, introduce by title only and waive further readings of the ordinance titled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan and amending Title 18 of the Laverne Municipal Code relating to implementation of housing element policies and other updates to comply with state law and to implement policies of the general plan update. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Item 7 was approved 4-0 with Crosby being absent. Johnson making the motion and seconded by Lau. Oh, sorry. Reverse that.
Man, sorry, guys. Okay, we're going to start the meeting over completely. Here's one. Bring the flag salute back, please. There is one item, the resolution opposing South Coast Air Quality Management District Proposed Amendment Rules 1111 and 1121 related to regulation of air emissions from residential and business natural gas furnaces and water heaters. City's Manager Domer, would you please give a brief summary of this resolution? Or would you like me to? Go ahead.
I would be more than happy for you to give it.
Okay. We received notification a number of weeks ago that the AQMD was passing these two resolutions, which basically had residential water heaters, furnaces to go all electric. And so with that, and then also another resolution was down the road, which would be all electric cooking appliances, electric pool heaters, all of these. And the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government, we got a hold of this. I also got a hold of a number of people, talked to Mr. Domer, and we decided that, and also I got on the meeting with the AQMD and they pushed it out till May or June because they had so much opposition to this. And the biggest problem with this is that after our last power outages, the only thing we had that worked was gas. Now, the basis of this is the toxicity of gas, but it's so minute with the gas that gives off by our stoves and things like that and our furnaces. It's more of the cars, it's more of the trucks, it's more of our ports and things like that. They're really a big concern. So we, along with the COG, decided that we should probably put a letter of opposition. I spoke at the meeting on the AQMD and told them that the problem with this is this is going to affect the lower socioeconomic community tremendously for the simple fact that one electric water heater and one electric forced air unit, your electrical panels are not going to be able to survive. You're going to have to upgrade them. You're talking $3,000 to $5,000 for panel upgrades. You're talking the appliances are astronomically more expensive. And they have these incentives, AQMD and all this, we're going to do this and that. And it's like, no. How about my stance is as we go forward, we would like to see this tonight passed to say, no, you need to recalculate this. My proposal would be, if you want to go to electric, that's fine. Otherwise, you keep gas. I mean, this is just trying to tell us to do something with really not thinking out what the implications and all the ramifications are to the residential user. I mean, it's great. You've got a lot of the Sierra Club, which I believe that we need to live a clean life. But at the end of the day, it's like telling everybody you have to have an electric car. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. First of all, the grid won't support it. So it's like, anyway, is that a long story short? So we're putting this resolution forward to say we oppose this. We want to have more discussion on this. And I think ultimately we're just going to say, hey, table this. And if you want to do this, that's fine. If you want to become a more clean user, the problem is with electrification and our grid right now, there's not enough power in the grid to do what we're doing. So that, Mr. Domer, any other?
Excellent job, sir.
That's it. Okay. It's coming. That's next. I'm going to open up public comment. Sure, please.
Okay. I believe that the best thing to do would be, as people need to replace their water or need to replace certain items, that's the time to. Over the last 4 or 5 years, 10 years ago, I put in a new 200 amp panel, put in solar a couple of years ago. I've gone pretty much electric with everything. My gas bill is now $5 a month on the average plan. I almost use no gas, but I have it. I have the battery backup and it works out great. I mean, to me, I really like it, and I will get a plug-in hybrid at some time. To force somebody to do it, I don't think that's the way to do it. I agree with that 100%. I think new homes should maybe have to do it. I think as more solar comes online, there will be more power available to help people feed their electric cars. And, you know, it's just a matter of time. And you don't want to make something snowball when it's not ready to go, you know. So I agree that there should be a delay in that, and that they should look at that. For most of the new homes now have regulations where they have to have the ability to have solar, the ability to have electric vehicles. They have to leave conduits, all sorts of things that need to be done for that future purpose. But the time will come, but it's just not something you can do overnight and say that's it.
Agreed. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment on this item? We'll go ahead and close public comment. Oh, you can come on up, sir.
With regard to the power adequacy thing, has anybody addressed this concern to the California Independent System Operator up in Folsom? That's their responsibility is to make sure there's ample electricity. And I would note, at one point in time, they had so much electricity, they had to pay out-of-state utilities to take it from them. So there's some management issues at issue here, and you could probably enlighten them a little.
Appreciate that. Thank you. There will be a lot of topic of conversation with our public utility companies after what happened in this last storm. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Propane generator.
No, natural gas generator. That's even better. I've got a better one, a tri-fuel generator. It gets gas, propane, or natural. And that's what I got, and I'll tell you what, that is amazing. Well, no, okay, we're done. We're done. I'm sorry. Who's got the bigger generator? Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead, close public comment, bring it up to the dais. Any comments?
I was just to say thank you for bringing this up. I think I think it's the fact of intentions and execution, right? I think the intention is a good one. The execution is not well thought out in terms of how is that going to affect the local resident, how is that going to affect the communities, et cetera. So thank you for bringing it to our attention and putting it on the agenda.
Any other comments? Mr. Johnson.
I'm for this motion. I think that residents should be able to decide if they want an electric stovetop, that's fine. If they want a gas stovetop, that should be their choice. Like the idea that something's being taken away from us, the ability to have a gas. Like
Title 20.
True. Thank you. Okay. With that, I think that I need a motion. Second. Vote, please.
Motion by Castelfagita, seconded by Lau, is approved 4-0 with Crosby being absent.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the conversation, too. There's no other business tonight, so we move on to public comments or oral communications. This is the time set aside for anyone wishing to address the City Council on items not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. I want to remind everyone that the Brown Act prohibits the City Council from engaging in discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. However, your concerns may be referred to staff or placed for discussion at a later date. There's a 3-minute time limit on, okay. At this time, wish to make comments, who are present here at the chamber can come up to the podium. I have one for Jim Criticson. Thank you. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thanks for lending your ear for a few seconds. I wanted to bring up a specific intersection. Wheeler Avenue and Via Rodi. I've lived there since 1990. And I can tell you that the traffic is evolved, we'll say. There's a thing in traffic referred to as overdriving your headlights, when you can't see far enough ahead to stop in that distance at the speed you're traveling. Somewhat analogous with people coming up Wheeler around the curve by the Oaks School there. And I can tell you that personally, I've had a couple close calls trying to make a left-hand turn off of Via Arroyo on the Wheeler going south. People are coming up there. You put police cars out and things in the past to try and slow them down, but it doesn't always work. And they're going so fast, I can't get around the corner onto Wheeler in time. And I'm afraid we are going to have a T intersection, I'm sorry, with somebody coming up there hitting a vehicle coming across the street. Also, I would point out that anybody living in my neighborhood or whatever that's on foot that wants to go to Mills Park has to go, if they're on foot with children, they will have to walk all the way down to the school, cross at the traffic light, walk back up to the park, and reverse that. They don't do it. They run across the street, which adds to the hazard and risk there. I've done it myself. So, yeah, I don't know what the solution is. Maybe a traffic light, which nobody would really like, I'm sure. But that might be the only way of dealing with it before we have somebody killed coming across that intersection. The other thing, if I could, I'd like to mention is we're being overrun by electric bikes. And these things go 20, 25 miles an hour. I've seen them do it on the sidewalk coming up Wheeler, south of Foothill. They get out there, they ride 2 or 3 abreast sometimes, not in the bike lane, and they don't follow traffic rules. They are supposed to. Now, I can also, for what it's worth, I'll mention, the city of Huntington Beach has long had rules and tickets for regular bicycles down there. Perhaps we need to do something like that to send a message. You got to follow traffic laws. You're going to need to someday. They should have a license to drive those things at that speed anyway. So I think there are a couple of things that I would request the commission to the committee to look into, consider a traffic light or something better if you have it, and some dealing with those electric bikes. They just are totally out of control, and some of the people riding them are that tall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else on public comment? Kathy.
Kathy Galusek, 3rd Street. So last council meeting was super long, so I had some comments to make, but I was like, yeah, I'm not making it any longer.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
But anyway, we honored the volunteers for Christmas morning, which was wonderful and completely appropriate, and I appreciate all those people. I'm wondering if we can make a few changes. We can talk about this over the year. On my street, I was out and a gentleman and his son across the street, and we were the only ones out. And a lot of it is because like my husband had to work Christmas Eve at the church. He got home about 12:30. I was up with, probably went to bed 1:30. That 7 a.m. wake up call, we've been dealing with that forever. So couple ideas, and I know this one's a hard one, but if we could start an hour later. Oh, and also my neighbors, they go to like a midnight mass or, so they weren't up. Some years they are, but could we start an hour later, or could we possibly rotate? You know how we had the section that we were in and we were the 7 8, we're always the 7 a.m. for 32 years. It's like, no. But anyway, if we rotate, next year we start at 8 and the other people start at 7, something like that.
We're gonna have to check with Santa. I don't know
So
about
yes,
that.
yes. So we could talk about that. My only other comment, and I know for me, I was, old lady out there, whatever, so I got a Merry Christmas. That was cool. The guy with his son, it would have been really nice if they would have stopped so they could have taken a quick snap. and then moved on. I know it's hard because I know we're cramming a lot in. So anyway, just some tweaks on that. My only other comment, last meeting, we had 3 people that spoke in public comment, and they talked about items on the agenda. And it was already an excruciating long meeting, and I wanted to stand up and go, "Ah." So if we could just make sure we rein that in next time, because I was like, why are we talking about? Anyway, so that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else on public comment? Come on up.
This is the 3rd time in a year that I've come here to discuss the train noise that we have with the horns blowing 4:30 in the morning, 11:30 at night, and all the time. My understanding was something was being done about it. My new understanding is nothing has been done. Not a single piece of paper has been moved to get this done. And it is something that is allowed according to the trains system, that you can have a quiet zone if you have the arms that come down, the lights that flash, and the ringing bells, which we have at every new intersection on the new railroad train, plus the existing track has all that. So when the new trains start to come and we have 2 times more trains going down all the time, I think you're going to get a lot of people up here. They're going to be kind of angry about that, especially knowing that they could have started it now and had it solved before the new trains even started instead of waiting. And I've thought about going out and starting petitions. I mean, I could go downtown Laverne, old downtown. I'm sure I could get 10,000 signatures real easy, but it's something that people are going to want. Those people that live down there, and I'm not real close. It irritates me, and I'm not real close. That's hell on the people that live down there. And something needs to be done, and it's something that's simple. I mean, we no longer have cattle crossing the railroad tracks, or there's no way for kids to really get on there. It's pretty safe down there now. So I don't know what the issue is and why we can't get somebody to run with this project before it's too late.
Thank you. You've got ears on it, so
Hope so.
go check it out. Anyone else on public comment?
Actually,
Ken.
if you could provide me your name and email address afterwards.
There you go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close public comment, bring it up to dais. Councilmember Lau. I'm timing.
Going fast, going fast. Just really quickly, just wanted to acknowledge Captain Tibbetts had his badge finning last week. And so although he's been with us for a little bit, just wanted to officially welcome you. And for those of you who have not met him, please take some time to get to know him. Him and his family are awesome members of the community. So welcome. And then just a couple things. We've talked about Black History Month, but take the time to educate yourselves about different populations in our society that have contributed. There are some really amazing humans out there. So this is an opportunity to pay some homage to that. And then last but not least, Lunar New Year started last week. So it is the year of the snake. So I wish you all prosperity and good fortune and all of that good stuff. So Happy New Year and have a good week. This is a much shorter meeting so far than last week. So yay. But thank you and be kind to each other.
Thank you, Councilmember Lau. Councilmember Kasha-Folgita.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank all our amazing staff that continue to see throughout the city, working day in and day out, not to only provide public safety for our community, but those public works folks that I continue to see taking branches off, working down on Esperanza, cleaning and sweeping out that area. Sometimes some of that debris gets on the road, and want to let everybody know, just kind of be careful the next couple days as the rain's coming down. Looks like it's gonna be coming down pretty hard, and I know we need the rain. It's just not all at once. So just for those, really be cautious in and around certain flood areas. There could be a potential. So that's all I have, Mayor, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again at our next city council meeting on February 18th. But I do want to note, last time I know Councilmember Crosby was mentioning it's on February 14th. We have that dance with intellectual and developmental disabilities at the community center at 5 p.m. That's gonna be on February 14th, and then at February 10th, we have that senior movie matinee at the community center at 12:30. So looks like a great time for our community. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Again, you can find those at the back of the agenda.
Absolutely.
Of the packet. Councilmember Lau, you forgot something.
Yes, I'm sorry. Just a shameless
Ready?
plug. It is Girl Scout cookie time.
Ah.
So if anyone would like to purchase Girl Scout cookie, I will also plug shamelessly principal planner Candace's children who can be your cookie dealers
I
if
don't
you
think
would
that was
like.
shameless. I think that was just a
So-
plug. Okay, you have like, can you scan credit cards and things like that? Tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
I have nothing to add tonight.
Oh, the last meeting, you all had something to say about everything. I'm dying over here and you guys are just having a great old time.
Like to do.
Well, first of all, this might be a long time, so hold back in your chairs here. No. Actually, first of all, I want to shout out to Public Works. I've been through multiple neighborhoods lately and there's still fallen trees and debris and stuff that they haven't gotten to. So I just say that kudos to our department and how quickly they cleaned up our streets, cleaned up the trees that fell. They did an amazing job. So kudos to that. Also, kudos to Councilmember Cash. I wasn't able to attend the swearing in of Captain Tibbetts. I was in Sacramento with San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, but you didn't, I heard nothing but accolades of a great job you did. So, and don't talk anymore about it. Okay, we're done with that. And speaking about Sacramento, I was in Sacramento. We visited probably 8 out of the 9 between senators and assembly members through that encompass the whole San Gabriel Valley through all the cities. And that's one of the things. The reception of our, especially the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, is tremendous because we do such a great job with the homeless outreach. But that's because the cities like us and like our departments work so well with them. And they've got an unbelievable reputation. So hopefully we can secure funding for that. One of the big things that we did was talk about continuing the funding for the fire programs. The COG puts them on, but also with Chief Nig and Firewise programs and Defensible Space and Being Ready. And their ears were very perked up and a lot of discussion on that because this last devastation that happened is, it's really echoing loudly on everywhere. And I will be going in March to DC to visit our federal electeds. So, and again, our reputation with our police, our fire, our community services throughout the region, through the COG and all these other ones is well respected. And that's something it takes time to earn. So these relationships we have, and we have a lot of turnover now with our electeds between the federal and the state level. And they're already just loving what's going on. I think they're going to be partners. So kudos to all the staff and everyone and the COG for our relationships. With that, everyone have a great week. Remember, look in the back end of your pamphlet here and the agenda that tells you what's going on in our community. There's always something going on. And again, keep your money local. Shop local. Shop local. Shop local. Eat local. Gas up local. Just keep your tax dollars here. We've lost a lot of box stores. We need every bit of revenue we can. Keep those amazing services that the city provides to all of us. With that, our next council meeting is, we don't have one, so it's not on here. It's actually Tuesday, February 18th at 6:30 p.m. or 5:30, probably 5:30 p.m. We'll have a closed session. The meeting will be at 6:30 p.m. or a study session. With that, we are adjourning at 7:38 p.m. Thank you all for attending.